Looks like we are up, possibly. Let me see. Let me check this out. Hey, Maggie. I don't know if you can hear me yet, but hello, everybody, and hey, Maggie. Let's see. I'm just waiting to see if I pop up on the stream real quick. So you may be able to hear me right now, but I'm not seeing myself just yet. Maybe the stream key isn't up. Yeah, alright, that's why. There we are, let me start that again. I'm gonna go away for a second. One second. Alright, now I should be up again. One second, I popped off for a second, possibly. Coming back. Cool, alright, I think you can... Am I still going? How's the chat? What's going on? I can see myself. I think we're good. Cool. I know there's a little bit of lag. I apologize on that. I'm going to mute myself real quick. Cool. All right. And it looks like I'm going to just wave at the camera. Just make sure I see that on my screen real quick. Cool. All right. Looks like we are up and going. I'm gonna wait for a second to see some people pop in, and then I'll I'll start talking about say a couple things right at the top before we get started about the world and stuff, and then we'll have a little bit more fun in an effort to raise money. But I'll just wait a little bit to see once people start popping in a little bit. So, Alarain, Count 2-4, hello Continuum, hello WCML, hello Seal, hello Anna, hello Opinions No One Cares About, hello Just Carowin, Seal I think I already said, Maggie, hello Peter, hello Maclid, hopefully I'm saying your name right, hello to everybody. I hope everyone's staying safe right now. I hope everyone's well, I hope everyone's doing good, regardless of where you are in the world, and I hope you're all staying safe, regardless of where you are in the world, and I hope that those of you who are out protesting, either right now, in the past few days, anything like that, I hope you are staying safe, and also thank you so much for doing that and being out there on the front lines and taking that risk and doing that work. So I just want to thank all of you, and I hope everyone is staying safe. So hello Nathaniel, and hello Godless. I hope everyone's good. And sounds good. Opinions. I will call you Scott. So all right, gonna just wait about another 2 more minutes just to see people trickle in, and then we'll get started and talk about some stuff. How is everyone doing in the chat while we wait for some people to come in? How are things? How is everyone holding up at the moment? All right. Hello, Jadelyn. I hope you're doing good. How are you? Hope you're doing all right. Okay. Well, I guess I'll get started now and just sort of explain what's going on. So, first things first, for everyone, I mean, it should be fairly obvious given if you popped in and you see the title of this chat, but today's live stream is going to be a fundraiser for the Black Visions Collective, which is a group trying to fight for racial justice in Minneapolis, in Minnesota. So all the funds that you donate via Super Chat today, I am going to... Oh, hey V, it's good to see you here. All of the Super Chats that you give today during this live stream will be donated to the Black Visions Collective. However, and I have a couple rules down in the description, just basically how we're going to do that. So if you give at basically if you give below $10 in the Super Chat, I will thank you and call you out during the actual reading of fan fiction I'm going to be doing. And then if you give more than $10, you can pick me a character impression for me to do. So I'll just read it the way that I'm going to be reading it, just kind of normally. But if you give more than $10, I'll start varying it up and just having weird, crazy, strange voices as we go through. So that's going to be the goal today. However, I will put a caveat on that, though, is with the Super Chats, some of the money does... Oh, thank you very much, Maggie. I really appreciate that. So, Maggie Evans, you are absolutely wonderful. I will, but just putting a caveat on everything. The Super Chat is awesome, and I'm glad on everything. Like I said, everything that is made through this video is going to be donated directly to Black Visions Collective once I see what the amount was, because the way YouTube works is I have to wait like a little bit to like go in and see how much money was raised, and then I can basically I'll just donate it directly from my account, and I'll post up when I do that and share just to make sure I just hold me accountable. I just like being transparent and make sure I show everyone that I did that. So that'll be up on my Twitter. I'll try and post in my community tab when that happens. However, the Super Chat, the way the Super Chats work is some of the money does go to YouTube. So I think doing the Super Chats is the best way to sort of like do a live stream thing here. However, if you want to make sure your money goes directly to Black Visions Collective, there is a link. It is the first link in the description. So if you go down and check out the very first link in the description, that'll link you directly to the Black Visions Collective's page, their donation page, and you can donate there directly to them. I myself, I don't have a ton of money to be able to donate myself personally, but I am going to be donating $25 to the Black Visions Collective personally at the end of this live stream. So they'll be getting $25 directly from me. Whatever you all want to donate to them, let me know. You don't have to, but if you so wish, if you do directly donate to them directly, let me know in the chat, and I'll call you out as well. And you can try and I'll also apply the same rules that I'm doing to the live stream to whatever you say you donate. I'm going on an honor system there, so please only do that if you are actually donating. And then the Super Chat, which, by the way, thank you, Continuum. You are absolutely amazing. Sounds good. I'm excited to hear what your super secret project is. But thank you, Continuum. I appreciate that so much. Yeah. So that's basically the rules here. We're just going to... and the last thing that I will say is just to speak on what's been going on real quickly. Now, just based on what is happening and the fact that we are talking, the world and the United States specifically is talking about racial justice and specifically police brutality against people of color and even more specifically the Black community in the United States, which is an ongoing problem. It has been going on for my entire life and long before I was even born. And it seems to happen, seems to be that there's another story every other day of someone being harmed or killed by police in this country. And those are just the stories that we hear about. Those are the most brutal stories. It happens every single day and multiple times a day across this country. We only just see the absolute worst of the worst. And specifically George Floyd's murder, though he is by no means the first, and sadly will probably not be the last, is just the one that has currently galvanized the nation at this time. So that is the topic that we were talking about. That is the topic that everyone in the country is talking about. And it is, again, something that has been going on for a very long time. However, because of the nature of that, as a white person who grew up in an upper middle class, neighborhood and lifestyle where there was a police officer who literally lived across the street, who was a nice person, and I was friends with his family and his kids, and that was my privilege as a white person to have that relationship with the police officer. Because of that, I am not the voice to be the most heard at this moment in time. I am not the voice to be the one that is focused on right now. So that is why I'm doing this live stream as a sort of fun, let's just have some fun and be weird and try and use that to raise money for voices that need to be heard. And also on that note too, down in the doobly-doo, down in the description, underneath the donate button there and other ways that you can help, there is a list of people to follow that I personally recommend are voices of people in the Black community and Black trans community as well, and the Star Trek community, who are voices that you should listen to and follow and promote as best you can over these next few days. If you don't have money to donate, at the very least, do that. Follow these people, promote them, and try and listen and learn from their voices. Also, further down the list, and this is more me speaking directly to anyone who is not a member of a, the people of color community or Black community. So I'm speaking directly to you right now. Down in the doobly-doo below, there's also a couple links to guides to allyship. These were links to things that helped me as a white person who is trying their best to be an ally to people of color right now. Those links down in the below are links that helped me learn how to be a better ally. As people who are trying to be better allies, something just happened. I just see Doe, oh dear, in the comments. Did something happen? Oh, sorry. Apologies with the lag. Sorry, there's nothing I can really do with the Wi-Fi I got, unfortunately. Sorry about that. But I will say, anyways, and Kyle, I saw your super chat. I will just say thank you to that in just a second, but I just want to finish my thought real quick. Down below, the guides to allyship, those were links that deeply helped me as a white person to try to learn more about how to be an ally. So I just want to say, let me just see. It looks like there's issues in the chat. 1 second. I want to make sure that we're still good. We're still good? Cool. It looks like it's still going strong according to this. So let me know. Let me know if that's not if it's lagging again still. Anyways, like I said, if you are a person if you are white and want to learn how to be a better ally, those links down in the description are deeply helpful. All right, so let's get started. Kyle, thank you so much for your donation, and I really appreciate your kindness and the fact that you're donating to help the Black Visions Collective, and also thank you for being here as well. Kyle Brown is a member of this community who is also someone that we should promote and talk to. So thank you very much, Kyle. And thank you, Kyle, also, by the way, I think you had a comment on yesterday's video that was absolutely wonderful. So I just want to thank you for that. I appreciate that. Okay. So now that I've been talking about all the serious stuff and have promoted the links and things that to follow, like I said, if you give at the $10 or up mark, you can pick a character voice, which, by the way, Kyle, if you are still in the chat, that means you get to pick the first voice. So I'm going to load everything up to start off the fanfiction thing. So, but if you want to pick a different type of character voice or impression or anything like that, Kyle, you are more than welcome to do so in the chat, so that I know what voice you want. So just let me know, Kyle, if you're there, what voice you want me to do. If not, I will just sort of start and go. So, all right. So I hope everyone can see. Looks like everyone can see this. How's everything going in the chat? Just want to make sure we're still running. Let me know if you can see everything and if everything's going strong. Just gonna quick turn that off. And we're starting with season 2, by the way, of the of my fan fiction, because we already read season 1. Oh gosh, Wellington Smith. Thank you, Wellington. And Christian Avasarala's voice from The Expanse. When people don't tell the truth, it always ends badly. Oh boy. Let's see. Let's see. Can I do Avasarala? She just has like a commanding presence. When people don't tell the truth, it always ends badly. I'm hoping that. I hope that sounds like her. I'll do my best to try and do her. Let's see. Scottish accent. Okay. Oh boy, this is all going to be fun. And thank you, Council of Geeks. I really appreciate that. Okay, so we've got 3 voices so far. So we say we have Christian's voice. So I'm going to try my best to do hers. I'm going to be terrible at her just to do that. Kyle said, what'd you say? Scotty's voice. Cannot see what I'm doing, Captain. All right. I'm gonna do my best. It's not great. This is kind of more Irish a little bit, but it's fine. I'm just gonna let you all know that it's gonna sort of mumble between Irish and Scottish, and then Council of Geeks, humble country. What I say. I'm talking here. So we're just going to jump into the thing, and I'm gonna just, whenever I come across a character, I will pick one of those voices and kind of stick with them. With that. By the way, Council, I loved your sort of humble country lawyer that you did in your other video. Okay, so I'm gonna stick to doing the radio voice for the main description, but any character voices, I will be doing voices from the chat. So there we go. Making sure I don't have competition. My humble country lawyer is basically Foghorn Leghorn, so just so you know. I'll try my best, Maggie. I've been told by the live stream to do it, but if it ends up actually being offensive, please let me know, because I don't want to offend anybody. So if my accents do end up being offensive, that is not the intention. It's meant to be fun. And if it is offensive to anyone, just let me know, and I will cut it off there. Okay. So I just want to make that clear. So if there is any offense, it's not intended, nor is it something that I will be able, I will stop it if I need to. Okay. Part 1, October 22nd, 2602, 1630 hours. The ship was dying. The once pristine bridge now shook violently as it entered the atmosphere. As metal tore apart, the consoles sparked, flickered, and then turned utterly black, as if preparing for the inevitable. In a few moments, the explosion resulting from a head-on collision with a force field surrounding the building would destroy it all. I love how I make no description of what happened at the end of last season. There was the ship was about to crash land into a mirror universe base on a planet, and yeah, that's basically what it is. But James sat in his captain's chair, gripping the armrest, going down with the ship as all good captains do. The ship had been his home. The ship that had been his home shattered around him, his first command, his pride and joy. But as the bold USS Majestic endured its final moments with its captain, James saw his memories playing like a movie in front of his eyes. Holding the acceptance letter, meeting Sarah, their first date, fighting the Romulans, taking command of the Majestic, almost losing her. Suddenly, he felt his heart pain at never being able to see her again. He had loved her with everything he had. It was like a knife to his heart, 10 times more painful than the thought of oncoming death. A single tear fell. It tumbled to the ground, and James watched it fell. I love my spelling mistakes. They're my favorite thing. But before it hit the ground, time seemed to show, and the ship finally collided with the inevitable, and James's world started on fire. As he prepared himself for what he thought would be slight pain and then nothingness, something happened. As he felt the warmth of the fire close in, suddenly it was all gone. No pain, no heat, nothing. And all around him was black. I say, is this death? So that's the humble lawyer. James is going to get the humble lawyer voice. Let's see. Go get some ice cream. It did roll down his cheek, Seal. It did roll down his cheek. Part 2, October 22nd, 2602, 1635 hours. Henry watched as the Majestic rammed the newly erected force field. He watched as the Majestic exploded, standing no change against the impervious field. He turned away as the vacuum of space quickly extinguished the ball of fire and metal that used to be the Majestic. I thought this was on a planet, so why is it a ball of vacuum of space? As the escape pod entered the planet's atmosphere, he didn't feel the ship being buffeted by the entry. His whole body was numb. He didn't want to feel anything, for he knew his friend was dead. His best friend, stolen from him, and all he had been able to do was sit there and watch. Suddenly his body was shaken by the impact, and he was jarred out of his thoughts. Quickly, he scrambled out, breathing in the air. Looking around, he saw the ruined city all around once again. Even now, the horror of this charred world brought a chill through his body. It was strange to think that this had been a vibrant city only a short while ago. He could even see the ruins of a marketplace not far off. The once clean air was filled with the smell of ozone, but Henry ignored this as he noticed several other crew members exiting newly landed pods. He slowly straightened up and went over to the closest one and helped its occupant out. And a half an hour later, Henry stood next to Berinsky. The engineer had been working with his comm badge for the past few minutes, trying to signal out of it to Furby. Furby was still trapped inside the building, having boldly stayed behind when Henry and Berinsky escaped. Staring out at the distance, the foreboding figure of the building stood against the backdrop of the ruins. While it was small looking in the distance, it still had a dark feeling about it. It was just too out of place. Its gleaming structure stood out amongst the rubble. All right, let's see. Scottish voice. This is gonna be my best. All right, let's see. I gotta try. Just go. Give it a roll. She's got Captain. I've got nothing on this ship, on this thing," said Berinsky, looking down at his comm badge. The force field must be blocking transmission, or... He didn't have to say it. Henry knew that it was a distinct possibility that Furby had been taking capture, or worse. But he wasn't about to accept that, though. Having just lost one friend, he wasn't about to lose another. Alright, so this is gonna be... Henry's gonna be Avasarala. I'm gonna try my best here. Let's see... I can't really do Avasarala. Oh, I'm gonna be really bad at this. She has like such a distinct, like, commanding voice. "I say we head towards the building," said Henry. "There is nothing we can do here. We can't activate the power beacon while the field is still up. It's too powerful." "Agreed," said Berinsky. Reapplying his comm badge to his uniform's tunic, it let out a small chirp as the metal reconnected with the shirt. "I'll assemble a team," said Henry with a determined look in his eye, walking over the crowd of crew members. Part 3, October 22nd, 2602, 1700 hours. Phaser drawn, Furby turned. Again, he was met by the same empty white hallways and windowless door as he had for the past hour. Frustration bubbled up inside him. He had tried to work his way up to the upper levels, but so far had only managed to go a couple of floors. I'm going to go back to the humble lawyer. By the way, don't forget, if you do want to change one of these voices, or if you want me to do another voice for another character, don't forget to donate. "I say, who the hell designs a building like this? It is impossible to navigate," he said in that frustration. He slowly inched his way down the corridor, still holding... The entire building was exactly the same, as if the designer had no real care for great architecture. Which I spelt wrong, by the way. It's architecture. Just efficiency. It was strange and almost creepy to Furby. No windows, no color, no needless furniture. Just plain, empty rooms, except for the ones with the strange machinery that Furby had never seen before. Plain white door stood identical to every other one in the hallway. He opened it, and to his pleasure, stairs came into sight. "I say, one more floor to go. Who knows how many more to go?" he thought silently to himself. As he slowly walked towards the first step, still holding his phaser at the ready, he heard voices from above. "Is the process ready to begin?" asked a very deep voice. "Almost, sir," said another deep voice, likely coming from one of the 6 men Furby had seen earlier. "We can begin in about an hour." "Good. Time is short. I shall need to finish preparations. Make sure you're ready," said the original voice. "Oh, and what is the status of the Majestic's escape pods?" Furby was startled. He had felt a strange shaking a few minutes ago, but he didn't think about, too focused on the mission. If the Majestic had released escape pods... All of them have successfully landed about 3 miles north of the facility. The force field should keep them out, leaving us all the time we need. Good. Remember how important this mission is. This could mean the final victory over this pathetic universe. Furby didn't move until he heard footsteps disappear. He drew his phaser, ready to incapacitate the guard above. Then suddenly... Oh, I'm doing a different voice. Then suddenly, everything flashed white in front of Furby, and he quickly shielded his eyes. Part 4, date, unknown, question mark, hours. "I say, is this death?" said James. His voice sounded distorted, like something was scratching at his intangible form, making an echoey rough sound. He looked around at the nothingness, but the only thing he could see was his own body. but even that looked distorted, for as he looked at his hand, it seemed to be fading, blowing away in some unfelt breeze. Suddenly, James heard a voice. Don't pretend I don't have an evil twin. I do have an evil twin, Maggie. It seemed to him to come from everywhere and nowhere at the same time, as if somehow God himself was speaking to him. I say, it's too early. How could this happen? James took a cautious step forward. He felt the ground beneath his feet, but it still looked like a vast expanse of black hung below him. It was unsettling. Who is there? James asked tentatively. What has happened? Again, the voice spoke, but it seemed to not notice him. It seemed to be talking to someone unknown, as if James wasn't really here. Okay, this is going to be my evil twin. Though, again, if you want to change some voices, please don't forget to donate, and all proceeds are going to the Black Visions Collective. Let's see. Evil twin. I'm trying to, like, think what my evil twin would sound like. What would my evil twin sound like? Something has changed. It must be corrected. It is too important. The voice sounded angry, but still had a sound of calmness to it, as if it wasn't living, but something else, like some sort of computer. What is too important? James asked, still startled by the power of the voice. It must be corrected, still ignoring James's questions. And suddenly the world of black suddenly flashed bright white, and James stumbled forward. Captain? Part 5, October 22nd, 2602, 17:15 hours. Furby watched in amazement as his captain suddenly appeared in a flash of light in front of him, like a deus ex machina. Oh boy, these characters, I didn't expect these characters to run into each other, but both been doing the humble lawyer for them. Someone give me another voice to do, preferably with the donation if you can. Captain, he said, running over to him as his captain nearly fell to the floor. His knees collapsed. What? Asked the captain with a weak but stable voice. Where am I? We are inside the building, but how did you get here? I heard that there was a force field up, and I heard the ship released escape pods. Suddenly, at the mention of the ship, James seemed to come back to his senses. The ship? What's going on? He asked, standing up. I just heard the men talking about some sort of process. I don't know what it is, but I believe we need to stop it. Here, said Furby, reaching for his second holster and grabbing his extra phaser. Take this. James took the proffered handle and checked the phaser setting, then looked around at the plain room around him, then at the stairs leading up. I say from my count there are 6 men in the building, 5 of which are heavily armed, said Furby, helping the captain up at the same time. There is nothing in this building except strange terminals and machinery. I am fairly good at engineering, but I don't recognize any of the technology here. Well, we have to stop what's going on, James said, straightening up. The men are on the next floor up. There is one right above us, Furby said, also straightening and letting go of the captain. I say, let's get going, said James. Part 6, October 22nd, 2602, 17:30 hours. They stood just outside the force field. It's dangerous out there, take this with you. They stood just outside the force field, anything they could in front of them, according to Berinsky's tricorder. Why am I'm doing like a southern announcer voice now at this point. I'm like mixing them together, weirdly enough. As Berinsky took scans with the tricorder, Henry stood with the rest of the team that he had selected. He stood next to Ensign Ensign Baricka. But goodbye, Steve, or Scott, sorry, opinions. I forgot what your real name was, my apologies. But thank you for joining us. She stood very tall and had a very impressive appearance. From what Henry had heard, she had had a ton of commendations from Starfleet, making her an obvious choice. Sorry, I just want to make sure everything's still running very good. Sorry, one second. Just something weird happened with my computer. It's all still running. There we go. Oh, and thank you, Jadelyn. I really appreciate that. Let's see. Well, suddenly Bernsky turned around and looked up from his tricorder. This was, Bernsky was the Scottish voice, I believe. Well, there's nothing I can do. I'm giving it all she's got, Captain. Well, there's nothing I can do. I can't even find a way to disable it. It's just too powerful, he said, defeated. Yeah, I know. The southern voice is really hard to drop once you started it. Part 7, October 22nd, 2602, 1735 hours. James looked at Furby and nodded. James quickly stood up, looking over the edge of the top of the stairs, aiming his phaser. The guard fell without a sound, not even knowing what hit him. Like a crappy god he is. Suddenly and surprising, a shot from the bottom of the stairs hit the wall behind James, forcing him to duck and causing sparks to fly out of the walls and more rocks, because everything in the Starfleet and Star Trek has to have rocks in it for some reason. Did you really think I didn't know about you, Furby? The security system alerted me to an unauthorized presence an hour ago, even though I decided to not do anything about it, apparently. Crocodile Dundee voice. I don't even know Crocodile Dundee's voice, actually. I've never listened to Crocodile Dundee. I'm assuming it's just like generic Australian. James turned and looked up down the stairs, and there stood Gregory, the man he had spoken to earlier, and he saw surprise in his eyes. I will do the crocodile. G'day, mate. Well, hello, Captain. I wasn't expecting you at all, he said with a slight smile, but it didn't hide the surprise in his voice. I say, hello, Gregory. We meet at last, face to face. Let's see. I'd always wanted it to be this way. I thought I lost my change when you blew up your ship, said Gregory. But I think it's better this way. The better man always wins, said Gregory, leveling his phaser at James and fired. But just before the shot reached James, he ducked, dodging to the left as Furby jumped in, moving out of the way of the beam. Gregory realized he missed and snarled in anger, turning and running the opposite direction. Both James and Furby barreled down the stairs after the man. Part 8, October 22nd, 2602, 1745 hours. After racing through the corridors following the sound of running footsteps just one corridor away, the men finally reached another flight of stairs, going up 2 levels. They both charged up, James in the lead, Furby behind. When they finally reached the top, they ran through a door just starting to swing shut, as if someone had just run through it. As they raced out, they appeared on a catwalk a few floors up. Below them, an opening in the middle of the building showed them all the way to the first floor, a staggeringly high height. And in front of them, on the other end of the catwalk, stood Gregory, phasers aimed as he smirked. Just like in Star Wars The Force Awakens, because they stole everything from me. J.J. Abrams steals everything from Jesse Gender fanfiction. G'day, alright. Too bad. In the day or so, this building itself will become a weapon that will destroy the Federation. This world is located directly on the path of a space phenomenon known as the Nexus. This is like an Australian mixed with a Southern. Oh god, I'm tying in Star Trek Generations into this story. Oh boy, isn't that wonderful? Star Trek Generations, people, I got you here. Good, get it. When it hits this building, it will suck all the energy and send out a directed pulse so powerful that it will destroy everything. Oh, this is Southern. I'm trying to do like Australian. G'day, mate. When it hits this building, it will suck all the energy and send it out directed pulse. I can't like get away from the Southern voice. It keeps coming back. I'm sorry, everybody. G'day, mate. G'day. I gotta do like Thor. I'm Thor. It will suck all the energy and send it out send out a directed pulse so powerful it will destroy everything. See, Southern keeps going back to Southern. I'm just gonna go and try my best. And that includes most of the Federation, mate, allowing us to come in and claim our prize, and you two will be the first to have the honor of being destroyed. He's still smirking. But before I could fire, Furby grabbed inside his tunic and pulled out a psionic grenade, an experimental weapon that he just apparently had for some reason. He threw it down the shaft, and as all three watched the device fall, as it reached the middle of its descent, it exploded in a huge fireball, taking with it half of the building below him. Crocky. Dick Van Dyke. Let's see. No, what have you done? Suddenly, the entire world seemed to shake as the building started to explode. Everything we've worked for. You're going to destroy the Federation. It looks like you failed, said James, taking aim at Gregory as Gregory looked below at the destroyed shaft. Suddenly, Gregory looked up and smirked. Nay, mate, you haven't seen the last of me, Captain. We will meet again, he said as he hit something on his wrist. The world behind Gregory shimmered like a ripple in a pond, and Gregory jumped backwards, disappearing into it. Part 9, October 22nd, 2602, 1815 hours. Henry stumbled forward and watched as four of them struggled to stay standing as the ground shook. Henry was Avasarala. What is going on? Yelled Henry to Berinsky, trying to talk over the deafening noise. I don't, said Berinsky before he could finish. Something huge flashed next to them, and saw the force field collapse. James and Furby raced out the front door of the building, which apparently they managed to do despite it being really hard to get out of and apparently half the building being destroyed, and sprinted away, trying to get as much distance between them and the building. Suddenly, they were thrown to the ground as a deafening noise sounding behind them, signaling the explosion. They were flown forward as they fell, just barely escaping the fireball behind them, and then all was black. Part 10, October 22nd, 2602, 2200 hours. Let's see. Look, the captain's waking up, came voice to his right. Good, I was starting to worry, said another familiar voice next to him. James opened his eyes and saw the top of a tent and realized he was lying down. He looked to his right and saw Henry, Berinsky, and Nurse Derek standing next to him. I'll go get the captain, said Derek. Oh, Derek. And turned left. Let's see. Henry was Captain, how are you feeling? Asked Henry, stepping forward. James groaned and said, glad to be alive at least. Yes, so am I, but Captain, I have to ask, how are you alive? Said Henry. James didn't say anything at first, but not knowing what to say about his strange encounter. I don't know. Part 11, November 28th, 2602, 1743 hours, because we're getting very, very specific here. A month later, James sat at his desk, a smile on his face. He looked down at his new orders from command. He couldn't believe it. He had to tell someone. He spent too long at Starfleet HQ, being debriefed. It was about time he got some good news, and thank you for joining us, Gavin Robinson. It's great to see you here. But right before he could hit his comm badge, his door opened and in walked Sarah. Having just left the hospital a few days ago, after making a full recovery, she was still getting used to not being on a starship. Well, don't you look happy today? She said, smiling as she sat down on the chair opposite the desk. I say, just take a look at this, he said, handing her the pad with the commands on it. She stared down at it for a few moments, then her eyes widened. No, she said, looking at him in disbelief. Yep, he said with a gleam in his eye. You're looking at the new captain of the USS Enterprise. Oh, bum, 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 as we always like to do here. All right, that's the end of episode 1. I'm going to do one more, and then we're going to answer some questions and hopefully just do some chat with the chat to help also raise money as well. 1 second. Got to get to the next episode. And don't forget, if you want to change a voice of a character that I am doing, please don't forget to donate. If you donate money, it all goes to the Black Visions Collective in Minneapolis, and anything that you donate will actually have me change the voice of a character. Oh, thank you so much, Anna AJ Rose. Someone suggested Southern Belle, but like really emphasize the stuck-up attitude. All right, I'll have a humble lawyer, and I'll do the Southern, like, oh my, well, I am just so wonderful to be here today. Rarely have I never, something like that. That'll probably be my Southern Belle. So okay, I will try that. Apparently, everyone just likes the Southern Belle voice. So thank you very much, Anna. I appreciate it very much. All right, Star Trek Mirror Wars by James Earl. Really have I never. I always say that from, like, Futurama. They had a character who said that. Part 1, January 4th, 2603, 1100 hours. James looked around at his new bridge. Here he was, the captain of the newly commissioned USS Enterprise, NCC 1701-P. The Enterprise P. I don't know why that's funny to me, but just the Enterprise P is... that's such an awkward lettered Enterprise, I guess. The newest in a long line of historic ships. Thank you so much, Gavin Robinson. By the way, I appreciate that very, very much. Also, if you want to change a voice, let me know. Let's see. The newest in a long line of historic ships. Today, his name would be up there with Archer, Kirk, Picard, Williams. Still, James was surprised that the Enterprise had been built so quickly. Aaron Riker, the son of Admiral Frank Riker, had been the commander of the USS Enterprise O when it was destroyed. While he managed to send a message out to Starfleet, giving Starfleet time to amass a new fleet, he and ship had been destroyed. And welcome all the new people. You are awesome, and thank you for joining us, regardless of if you have money to donate. He walked around the top deck of the bridge, following a foot below. His chair sat in the middle of the room. As he curved down the upper deck to reach his chair, he continued to look around. And Gavin, someone can suggest a voice for Gavin, by the way. Now that he was the captain of the Enterprise, he had a legacy to uphold. The only question that worried him now was if he could stand up to the legends that came before him. The Enterprise was an ancient class ship, similar to the Templar class ship, the class of the Majestic and the previous Enterprise had been. All right, Wellington, bad French accent it is. The ancient class had a 15 phaser banks and ilium torpedoes. Finally, James sat down in his chair and looked at Sarah. He was still worried that she might not be up to being on the bridge, but she had been out of the hospital for a few weeks, and Starfleet's medical doctors had said that she had made a full recovery. 5 days ago, they had celebrated her recovery on the same day as her birthday. All right, so Sarah's going to be the Southern Belle. James is going to be the humble lawyer. All right. Let's see. Actually, let's try Christopher Walken's voice because Peter suggested it. All right, let's see. I'm trying to do Christopher Walken. Are we ready to take her out? James asked Sarah. Really have I never. All systems have been checked and ready. Berinsky says everything looks good, oh my. And Starfleet has cleared us for departure. She responded. All right. That's cockney. Everything goes back to terrible British voices. I'm sorry. Christopher Walken. I say, I know. All right, then, said James, turned to face the front of the ship and looked at a newly promoted Henry Teller. Thank you for joining, Tom, and thank you for the donation. I really appreciate that for Black Visions Collective, and thank you for joining. Let's see. Henry was a surfer dude. Okay, thank you. So Henry's gonna be surfer dude. All right, Captain. What up, bro? Henry eagerly responded. As Enterprise moved out of dry dock, James felt the engines. Although Starfleet engineers said it was impossible for anyone to feel the engines moving, James knew they were wrong. It was small movement, maybe real or in his head, but it was there. Yes, and you can suggest a voice for me to do, Tom, by the way. Where was? As the Enterprise headed to warp, James finally realized he may have known before, but it wasn't until now that he actually understood it. Let's see, Christopher Walken. I know I am the captain of the Enterprise. That's a William Shatner to Christopher Walken. How's it? I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. I'm the captain of the Enterprise, he thought. My Christopher Walken's going to be a William Shatner. I'm trying my best. Part 2, January 4th, 2603, 1300 hours. James left the turbolift and stepped onto the bridge once again. After Enterprise had left dry dock, he had given the bridge to Sarah while he toured the ship for what seemed like the 100th time. But a few moments ago, he had been contacted by Sarah, saying that the Enterprise had detected a strange spike. Have we reached the new source yet? Asked James as he sat down. Henry was surveyed. We should arrive in 5 minutes, brah, replied Henry. James remained quiet for a moment. The last time he had diverted course to a strange energy, it resulted in the destruction of his ship. Shields up, Furby, he ordered. Aye, sir, said the tactical officer. As the moment passed, each person on the bridge wondered what they would find. Exiting warp now, bro, Henry announced. Furby was Southern lawyer. Next voice can be Canadian. What Canadian? Oh god, that's gonna be. I'm gonna do the South Park Canadian, which weirdly seems less offensive than me trying to do an actual Canadian like accent. So, hey, buddy. So I feel like that's slightly less offensive, but we'll see. What the heck is that, Flurkin? Jar Jar Binks' voice with female addicted to cigarettes. I'll do that one in a minute. That one sounds fun, but I'll do. Hey, buddy. Let's see. Hey, sir, I'm detecting a ship 100 kilometers off our port, said Furby informed. On screen. The view screen blinked with a... Ooh, doing voices. The view screen blinked from a view of the stars replaced by an immense ship 2 times the size of the Enterprise. But it was nothing that James had seen before. It looked as if someone had taken components from dozens of ships and fit them together to see if they would work. Numerous shapes and colors composed the hull, with several recognizable components visible. James could make out Furby's Ferengi engines and what seemed to be the part of a Bajoran ship's hull. But to his knowledge, the engines had been obsolete for 20 years! 20 years! Alright, I'm gonna do Kermit the Frog. Alright, I'm gonna do the Jar Jar Binks voice. Misa wants to talk like this, but then I have to be addicted to cigarettes. Misa wants to talk like this. Scan it, said James. Furby soon announced the results. Oh gosh, I'm losing all my voices. Furby was Canadian. Hey, buddy, the ship is made up of components from a multitude of ships, buddy. Most of which are unknown to the ship's scanners guy, but it does detect Bajoran, Ferengi, and Starfleet's friend. Let's see. This is Jar Jar. Misa, how the heck did they get our technology? Thought James. All Starfleet technology was classified to all non-Federation citizens. I'm losing track of all the voices. Most of the technology for Furby was something. So I'm gonna do Surf's Up, bruh. Most of the technology, continued Furby, appears to be obsolete, bruh. Oh no, Canadian. While some of it's very advanced, even surpassing our technology, friend. Oh man, okay. I gotta get these in my head because I've been jumping around so much. So, James is Jar Jar Binks. Yes. Okay. Sorry. I got a lot of different voices that people have had me jump to. When I decided to do it this way, I didn't expect it to be so chaotic. Ooh, in my brain. These life signs? Asked James. Furby looked down at his console and pressed a few buttons. Sir. Sir, I'm detecting dozens of life signs aboard the ship. Misa, what? It is a refugee ship, asked James. According to the scan, all the life signs are very faint. Only one of them appears to be giving off a strong reading. Suddenly, Furby's console beeped. Sir, we are receiving a hail, audio only. James didn't say anything, but nodded to the tactical officer. Suddenly, a voice came on the comm system. Alright, this is going to be the bad French. Hello, is anyone there? Said the voice. It sounded powerful yet quavering at the same time, as if at one time the speaker had been a strong man, but those days were gone. Oh, I expected chaos. Don't worry, Seal. Misa, I am Captain James Obeska of the Federation Starship Enterprise. We detected a strange energy spike and diverted course, said James. Oh, yes. The energy that I would use to catch your interest. Why don't you come over, Captain? I have something to show you. Part 3, January 4th, 2603, 1330 hours. As the transporter beam's effect released its grip on the away team of James, Sarah, Henry, and Furby, the first thing they noticed was the vastness of the chamber they were in. Above them, they could see 4 more floors with catwalks on each. It reminded James of a less menacing Borg cube. Not that he had seen any outside of the simulations he had taken at the academy. On each side of them, against the wall, were hundreds of capsules. A type of one-way glass blocked the contents of each from view. But before James could get a better look, he heard a voice. "Oh, welcome, welcome!" James spun around to see an older man walking towards the party. The man walked with an air of confidence, and he himself looked distinguished. Specks of gray hair wove themselves in his hair. To James, the man looked as if he were human, but he knew that many species shared similar characteristics with his own. Let's see. "Thank you for honoring myself with your visit," started the man as he reached the door. "My name is Jacob." "Mr. Hello, Jacob. As I said before, I am Captain James Obeska, and this is my first officer, Sarah Perlock, my helm officer, Henry Teller, and my tactical officer, Furby Turkall," said James, gesturing at each of them in turn. "Welcome," repeated Jacob, a smile on his face. "I say, if you don't mind my bluntness," started Sarah in a kind voice, "what is your ship doing in the middle of a war zone? We don't have your ship in our databanks, and your ship seems to be made with a combination of old, new, and classified technology. Whew! Oh my! Classified technology always gets me hot and bothered." Jacob's smile disappeared for a moment, unnoticed to everyone except James and Sarah. "That technology is a reward of my employment," said Jacob. "Ooh, which is, brah?" asked Henry, entering the conversation. "Well, it would be easier to show. Besides, you wouldn't believe me if I didn't show you first. Part 4, January 4th, 2603, 1400 hours. Henry wasn't sure whether to be extremely curious or extremely disgusted. "You're telling us, brah, that you are from the future and your job is to go back in time and kidnap historical figures just before they die?" he asked, still unbelieving. "Glad we got all that explained in between scenes." "Well, yes," said Jacob. Over the past few minutes, Jacob had showed them what was inside the capsules. People. According to him, the scientists and historians from the future wished to learn from the kidnapped historical figures. "Misa, and you don't view this as wrong?" said James, as surprised. "You see, Captain, I only take them at the end of their life, just before they die." "Oh, no one notices, because I always return the bodies when we finish. It preserves the timeline and allows them a proper ending in their own time. As well," explained Jacob. "These people are heroes. They don't deserve this, Misa," James argued as he looked into one tube at the face he didn't recognize. "We always return their bodies. We treat them with the utmost respect and care." Counter... I love how the fridge actually just goes up every single time as I keep talking. Counter Jacob. As James opened his mouth to argue again, he looked in the next tube and his voice instantly disappeared. He quickly looked at the nameplate on the side of the capsule, and he read in shock, "Aaron Riker, Captain of the USS NCC 1701. Sorry, one second. Someone just knocked on my door. I'm in the middle of doing the live stream.
When are you going to finish?
Not for another like 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, that was just my stepmom. My apologies for breaking the moment. Part 5, January 4th, 2603, 1500 hours. The senior staff sat in the conference room. To James's right sat Jake Damari, his science officer, Furby, and Henry, while Sarah and Berinsky were to his left. As soon as James had seen Aaron's capsule, he had immediately returned to the ship, feeling that he needed to get his crew's opinion on what he should do. Let's see. Berinsky was Scotty. "We need to get Aaron back," stated Berinsky, after James finished informing the rest of the crew. "He is the reason that Vulcan still exists. He may not even be the reason that he may even be the reason the Federation still has a chance of survival." "Misa, I know that, but he is supposed to be dead," said James. "But the only thing is, he isn't. He is alive and well on that ship," continued Berinsky. Before James could respond, Henry spoke. "Dude, Sir, does the Temporal Prime Directive apply here? Misa, I don't know. The directive says that if we travel through time, we can't change anything. But it doesn't say anything much about what we should do in this situation, said James. I think our best option is to contact Starfleet Command and get orders. James never liked having to contact Command, because he's a rebel. James is a rebel. He doesn't like contacting Command. He felt that it undermined his decisions, but in this matter, he didn't have much choice. Misa, we can't, at least not directly. Oh, started Jake? Who the hell is Jake? I forget who the hell Jake is. Why? Asked the captain. What's a voice that someone suggested earlier that I can quick plug in here for this? Snake's voice. Kermit the... Snake, I'll do Snake. Whatever energy that ship gave off has caused a disturbance in the region. Any signal we send out can't be guaranteed to reach Earth or any other outpost. Any options? We could send out a probe. Once it escapes the disturbance, we can use it to relay our message. Get on it, said James, looking around at his staff. Dismissed. Part 6, January 4th, 2603, 1700 hours. Jacob knew his way around the ship. He had been on numerous ancient class ships before. Or was it that he would be on numerous ancient class ships? What? Hey, when did he travel in time? Oh, Jacob. Okay, because Jacob's the French dude. Time travel is so confusing, he thought to himself. As he worked his way through the corridors, avoiding wandering crewmen and women as they moved around the ship, he thought of the ship's schematics. According to them, he should be nearly there. And then he saw it. The captain's quarters. He swiftly moved to the door and pulled out a device. With a quick scan of the door, it parted, opening the room to Jacob. Careful to be quiet, he looked around the darkened room and scanned for life signs. Just one. Hopefully it was the right one. As Jacob neared the bed, he saw a figure turn in its sleep. Jacob quickly moved to the figure and quickly attached another device to it. Before the transporter took effect, James woke up and saw the face of his captor. Bomb, bomb, bomb! Part 7, January 4th, 2603, 1715 hours. His head hurt. That was the first thing James realized before he opened his eyes. When he finally did open them, a bright light assaulted him. Hello again! Welcome back to my ship! James stood up and looked around. James stood before him, surrounded by numerous consoles and buttons. And seeing that they were on Jacob's bridge, James stood up and attempted to run at Jacob, but he was cut short when he ran into a force field a few feet in front of where he was. Why have they kidnapped me? That actually sounded like Jar Jar Binks. The actual line that I wrote. Asked James as he recovered. Jacob sat in his chair. I was not completely truthful before. I am from the future and I do collect historical figures, but I also do a few jobs for people during my trips. And what would that be? To kidnap me? No, Captain. To kill you. What? Yeah, James. Why would anyone from the future want me to die? Many people. You are supposed to die on the Majestic, nobly sacrificing your life for the rest of the universe. But you failed, and Starfleet and the Federation was almost destroyed, but managed to push back the invaders. Eventually, the Federation rebuilt and managed to protect itself from future attack. But I'm getting into temporal Cold War stuff in here. Let's see. And then James made the connection. When he was on the Majestic, he was moving the ship to crash into the planet, but he had been brought to the planet right inside the base. But they changed something. They changed that, didn't they? Correct, Captain. And now someone wants to correct that mistake. Make sure history is fixed. Put everything back in its proper place. Thank you for joining us, Margaret. I appreciate you joining us. Before James could say anything, Jacob turned on the force field and raised a phaser right at James's chest. But as James prepared for the second time in his life, the ship shook and he fell to the floor. As he fell, he heard Sarah's voice on the comm. Really, we know you have our captain, Jacob. That was a warning shot. Thank you, Sarah, thought James. He looked and saw the phaser lying a few feet from his head. As he crawled to his feet, he raced towards the phaser, and as he bent to pick it up, another hit shook the ship and the phaser tumbled out of reach. As he stretched to reach it, Jacob's hand bent down and snatched it up. Your damn wife is causing me problems because I am sexist on top of it being a time traveler. As Jacob once again aimed at James, James looked at the consoles in front of him. One chance, he thought, and he slammed his hand on the console, pressing dozens of buttons at the same time. Pressing buttons always helps. Suddenly, an alarm sounded and another hit struck the ship. What have you done? Jacob yelled, but James was already racing out of the room, with Jacob right behind. Hey, German Trekkie, welcome. It's glad to see you here. I haven't seen you on one of the live stream before. As James ran, he found himself back in the capsule room, but as Jacob fired at him, he saw the capsules opening and dozens of people stepping out. James tapped his comm badge. Obeska to Enterprise. Oh my, Enterprise here, Captain, came Sarah's voice. We're reading you. Jacob's force field is stopping us from beaming you over. Acknowledge. Oh, no, wait, no, sorry. This is, acknowledged. I'll see what I can do. Keep firing. From behind, another shot just missed James, sending sparks and rocks everywhere as it hit the opening capsule. Opening capsule. As James turned a corner, heading towards the engineering section he had seen on the original trip to the ship, as he ran headlong into another man. It was Aaron. Where am I? Asked Aaron. Misa, there is no time to explain. Come with me, said James, grabbing Aaron and running as another shot barely missed James's shoulder. As the two hurried through the ship, Jacob continued firing. Eventually, they reached engineer. Not engineering, they reached engineer. Let's see. As James quickly ran to a nearby console, Aaron followed, running slowly, most likely as a result of his suspended animation. How did I get here, Captain? Obeska, said James as they dodged another shot from across the room. You were brought here by that man, gesturing the direction of the shot that had come before. At the moment, the ship's shields are preventing us from beaming out. Aaron nodded and reached to his side. His phaser was still on his belt. I'll cover you. You bring down the shields. James nodded in agreement, and on Aaron's count, he dashed across the room as Aaron fired at Jacob. Jacob dived behind a crate as the shots came towards him. As sparks fell between the two combatants, James looked down over the different panels in the area. While most he couldn't understand, a few panels were written in Vulcan, apparently taken from a Vulcan vessel. Quickly, James looked over the controls and found what he was looking for. Shields. As he pressed a few buttons, Jacob looked over and managed to get off a shot before Aaron forced him back behind the crate. Before Aaron could call out, James fell backwards as the shot hit his arm. He screamed in pain, but he was able to get back up, his arm blackened from the hit. Struggling through the pain, he pressed a few final few buttons and fell backwards. Aaron quickly ran towards his falling comrade, and James hit his combat with his good arm and said, Obeska to Enterprise! To beam up! As they transported away, Aaron asked in surprise, Did you say Enterprise? Part 8, January 4th, 2603, 1730 hours. Ma, we got them? Asked Sarah, standing on the bridge of the Enterprise. Aye, sir. Furby acknowledged. Open a channel. Suddenly, Jacob's voice came over the con. What do you want? Really? We have our captain, Jacob. I would advise that you surrender your ship before we do any more damage to it. A few moments passed for Jacob responded. Commander, tell your captain that he has not seen the last of me. Oh. Before Sarah could say anything, Furby called out, Oh, Commander, I'm to take the same energy as before. Sir, it's temporal, dude. Fire phases. Hit where that energy is coming from. She ordered, but it was too late. On the screen, Jacob's ship was engulfed in bright light and was gone. Part 9, January 5th, 2603, 1300 hours. James looked at the screen. It had been a long time since he had been with the First Fleet. Ever since the Majestic had been brought to Earth after the battle in the Mirror Universe, he had been separated from his post. As he studied the fleet before him on the bridge's view screen, he was saddened to see that the fleet was smaller than it had been. He had known that many battles had taken place during his absence, but he didn't expect it to have been too bad. Next to him, Aaron sat in the command chair, usually reserved for Sarah. We are receiving a hail from Admiral Riker, dude. Aaron stiffened at the mention of his father during the day that it took to reach. James had informed Aaron on most of what had happened since his death. But to Aaron, it had been a long time since he had seen his father last. For Frank Riker, he thought his son was dead. James hesitated for a moment before saying, "Put it on!" The holographic image of Admiral Riker appeared in the front of the bridge. "Captain, glad to have you back with the fleet," he said with a smile, not noticing Aaron. "Sir, I don't know how to say this, but..." James started, but before he could finish, Aaron stood up and walked towards the hologram. Frank's eyes widened with shock, and he seemed, for a moment, unable to speak. But after a moment, he was able to say one thing. "Aaron?" And as always, bam, bam, bam! Alright. That is where we will lead off, because we have 2 more episodes to do, and I'll save those for a future date. So, now I'm going to hang out for since we've been going for about an hour, that is the final, since I've been going for about an hour, and my voice is kind of hurting, I'm going to go for another 15 more minutes, and what I'm going to do, because I want to try and just, promote raising more, I want to start, one sec, actually, you know what I'm going to do, because now you're seeing my other console. Let me quick switch to this. There we go. That's better. Alright, there we go. Just to promote trying to raise a little bit more money for the Black Visions Collective, just, I'm going to answer some more questions from everybody, so if anyone has any questions that I'm going to answer while we hang out, we just talk for a little bit for about 10-15 more minutes. And like I said, any super chats that are given, all the money is going directly to the Black Visions Collective. So if you have any questions for me, anything you guys want to talk about, anything like that, please let me know. I'm happy to talk for another 10 minutes or so. And like I said, if you do give a super chat, it's going to go to the Black Visions Collective, on top of I'm going to be giving 25 of my own dollars, as well as everything that is given in the super chats. So there we go. Yeah, you had a quick moment. You had a quick momentary look into infinity there, Seal. So what does everyone want to talk about for the next 10-15 minutes or so? Like I said, I'm happy to talk about anything anyone wants to. And we can sort of jump into what everyone wants to talk about. I'm taking a look at the chat. Hanging out for just a little bit. I know things are a little bit behind, so there might be a little bit of a delay between waiting here and the chat. Just let me know. Happy to talk about anything. Yes, the Russian voice is good, yeah? Russian voice is good. I'm going to just vamp until someone says something in chat. I know, no one talking, Seal. Seal, what do you want to talk about? Pick any topic. Topic. Happy to say anything. I mean, I can pick something really quick. How can we donate to your birthday fund? I appreciate that, Tom. And I was debating doing like a birthday, like, you know, gift thing, like asking for gifts and I would open them on camera. But honestly, asking for gifts at the moment, it doesn't feel right. So the 2 ways you can help me with, if you want to gift to my birthday that's coming later this month. My birthday is June 18th this month. And I'll probably be doing a live stream that day, getting drunk or doing something on that day, or maybe the day before. But if you do want to help me for that, you can either donate now to the Black Visions Collective, or you can help me over on Patreon. So either way, if you want to help with the birthday fund, just give to Black Visions Collective, or help me out on Patreon, whatever you'd prefer. But those are the 2 ways that I just say to help. Wellington Smith, what resources do you use as a white person who wants to be a better ally to the black people? Well, actually, to black people, I talked about that earlier in the live stream. Down below in the comments, I put a bunch of links to guides to allyship. So if you are someone who wants to learn how to be a better ally, as you know, I need to do, as we all need to do if we are not part of the black community or communities of color, we should all, you know, just be trying to listen, to learn. And like I said, those links are down below, and those offer good advice. The best advice that I can give, that I have found to be something that I, at least for myself, I try to do is try to support voices where I can. So whatever platform you have, even if it's a small one, just like share out stuff from people of color, black people, right, especially right now, but all the time. Follow people of color and black voices. I also have links down below to voices that you can follow. Those are all good things. And just listen and try and learn. Like read, listen. Just sit back and just try to learn what you can. And when you are in spaces, like if you're at a protest or you are at a you are in a space where black voices need to be heard, use your white privilege when and if able to make sure that they are safe and they are heard. So, try and speak up and say, hey, right now we need to listen to this voice. That's what we need to do right now. So just try and do that as best you can in those spaces whenever you have a chance to do so. But also just know when it's time to shut up and not talk. So that's probably about the best way to do it. That's about the best advice that I can give. And like I said, there are better things down in the comments below, in the description below, to advice on how to do that. Cradamy, I wish I could donate, but I'm currently unemployed and my housing situation is very unstable, sending my support from Spain. I totally understand that. I'm sorry that that's your situation, so my heart goes out to you. And just being here and just hanging out is awesome. And if you do want to help support, like I said, just try and follow voices of people of color and things like that. That's something you can all do. That's something we can all do, regardless of if you're able to give financially or anything like that. If you're not able to give financially, the very least we can do is try to listen and promote voices. Those are probably the two biggest things that I can recommend. All right. Anything else? Anything else we want to talk about? I'll hang out for another 5 minutes or so. If anyone else wants to talk about anything or say anything. Happy to be here. All right. I think since let's see. Fun will now commence. At Jesse Jen, did you get a chance to watch the Voyager reunion last week? I actually did. It was a very, very, very fun time. I really heavily enjoyed it. What was the one thing that I really loved learning? One of the funniest things that I learned during the Voyager reunion last week was apparently there's a scene in the in Voyager. I don't remember the episode, but there's a scene where Tuvok has to reveal himself to the ship. And apparently, when they were doing behind the scenes for that, apparently the costume department made Tuvok a bit more endowed than he otherwise than Tim Russ, the actual actor, is. So when he reveals himself, something apparently falls down, flops out to the floor, it's that long. So that was apparently something that just they did as a prank on the set of Voyager. So that was very, very funny. And yeah, I do feel bad for Kate Mulgrew's kids as well. She's talked openly about that before, about how being a mother while also being the lead of a show was very, very hard for her. So that's something. I will say I also watched the Lord of the Rings reunion, and that was a lot of fun as well. So the Lord of the Rings reunion, if you haven't watched the Lord of the Rings reunion that Josh Gad did, that one was a ton of fun. I think Josh Gad's reunion was amazing. Thank you, Aaron. I really appreciate that. You're absolutely wonderful. I appreciate that, and I'm sure the Black Visions Collective will also be very appreciative of that as well. I am grateful for your wit and wisdom in these strange times. A kind voice in the void. Much thanks. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So yeah, and thank you for donating that to the Black Visions Collective. Yeah, it was a bunch of fun. Seal posted in the Discord a link to a YouTube video that has ads and monetization, so if you're cash poor right now, that's the way to go. I'll try and... Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. I'll actually see if I might have missed that, so I might as well... I'm going to try and... so I will quick link to that. Okay. I think I'm going to end a wrap out here, so I'll just say a few last things before I wrap out. And yes, thank you, Olam Drab. Apologies if I'm saying your name wrong, but apparently Obama is going to be speaking soon, so please check that out after this. So a couple quick things that I'll quick say before I wrap out. Like I said before, just to reiterate for anybody who may have missed it earlier, like I said, all the proceeds that have been donated during this live stream are going to go to the Black Visions Collective. once I get a definitive count, because it takes a little bit for YouTube to tabulate how much money was made and everything off of the live stream. But once I know how much money was made from this live stream, probably in the next few days, I'll take that money, donate directly to Black Visions Collective. I will be posting that up in my Patreon, in the community tab here on YouTube, and on my Twitter. Just again, hold myself accountable. I just like to make sure that doing this sort of thing, I just make sure I share it out so that people know that that it was actually donated, and that I didn't keep it or anything. I appreciate your trust in me to do that, but I always want to make sure that I'm holding myself accountable and sharing where I can. So that'll hopefully be up in the next few days. I'll share an image of that of when I donate. Other things, don't forget, once the stream ends, if you are watching the stream after it is over, don't forget you can still donate to the Black Visions Collective. The link is down below. It is the first link there. Down below, there are also other ways you can help, whether with your time, your donations, or just to listen, things like that. So there's a bunch of information and things down below for that. Is also a list of people and voices to follow, both in the Black community, the trans community, and the Star Trek community. They're all voices of people of color, and I would highly recommend that you go and check them all out and follow them, because they are much wiser than I on the current issues being discussed in the United States right now, and they are voices that need to be heard. And then the last thing that's down below that I also wanted to point out to is, since I know a decent chunk of my audience is white, as I myself am white, if we want to try and learn to be better allies, as I was talking about just moments ago, we should all try and learn to be better allies. Even if we think we are a good ally to the Black community and people of color, we can always do better. We can always try and learn to do more. And in that vein, I have put links in the down below for guides to allyship and ways to learn to be better allies. And like I said, no matter how hard no matter how good of an ally we think we are, we can always do better. So those links are in the down below for all of us to try and educate all of ourselves. So yeah, that's, I think, all the major stuff. I really appreciate everyone for joining me today. I know it was an awkward time, but just because timing, it had to work out this way. So apologies that it was a bit of an awkward time, but I hope everyone had fun. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves, and I hope that you're all staying strong and you're all staying safe. And like I said, most importantly, just remember to try and promote other voices of the Black community and communities of color as best you can right now. All right, I think that's everything that I wanted to say. So I just want to tell everyone, live long and prosper. I love you all. You are all beautiful. And I will, I have a couple of videos cut. I usually have a Wednesday video, but I delayed it for later on in the month. I pushed it back in my schedule to an open spot. But I do have a video coming out on Friday that should be, more fun. So check that out, and I will see you all next week. I will see you all next week on my next live stream on Wednesday, and we'll talk to you then. Live long and prosper.